Hey everyone. Today, we're going to dive into a story you probably think you know, the ant and the dove. But I promise you, this is way more than just a kid's fable. It actually holds a really powerful secret about kindness and, frankly, about survival. And you'll see why it's more relevant to our lives today than ever before.
So, let's just kick things off with a big question, one that really gets to the heart of all this. Is any act of kindness, I mean any act, no matter how small it seems, ever truly wasted? Just think about that for a second. We're going to find out the answer together. Let's get into it. All right, so how are we going to answer that big question? Well, the key is actually hidden in this classic fable, The Ants and the Dove. Now, I know, it sounds like something from a storybook, but trust me, this ancient Greek tale is packing some serious wisdom about how selfless acts can have these huge, unexpected payoffs. So, picture this. The story kicks off with what feels like a tiny, everyday disaster. You've got this ant just minding its own business, and whoops, it tumbles into a stream. Now for us, that's nothing, right? But for the ant, this is a life or death situation. It's totally helpless, getting swept away with absolutely no way to save itself. And then, up on a branch, a dove happens to see this little drama unfolding. It feels a little pang of pity and does something super simple. It doesn't even have to think about it. It just nips off a blade of straw and drops it down into the water. For the dove, it's nothing, right? A total non-event. But for that ant, that little piece of straw is everything. It's a literal lifeline.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. The scene changes, and now the tables have completely turned. There's a hunter creeping through the woods, and guess what he's aiming at with a rock? Our dove. And the dove has no idea. It's just sitting there, completely oblivious, seconds away from disaster.
But someone is watching. It's the ant, the very same ant that the dove saved. It sees what's about to happen, and right at that perfect critical moment, just as the guy is about to throw, the ant rushes in and gives him a nasty sting right on the heel. The man yelps, the stone goes flying off course, the startled dove flies away to safety, and just like that, the debt is repaid.
Wow, what a perfect little story, right? It just brilliantly illustrates the core lesson here. Kindness is its own protection. That tiny, selfless act from the dove forged this completely unforeseen alliance that literally came back to save its life. So, let's break down how this actually works.
The big idea at play here is called reciprocity, and it's not just some nice, fuzzy moral concept. It's a real hardcore dynamic of social survival. Basically, it's the idea that when you do something genuinely generous, without expecting anything in return, you're not just being nice, you're actually weaving this powerful, invisible safety net of allies who might just show up for you when you least expect it.
What's really so interesting here is the contrast between our two heroes. You've got the dove, who represents that pure, impulsive compassion, acting without a second thought, the benefactor who expects nothing back. And then you've got the ant, who represents a kind of strategic gratitude. It remembers the debt and uses its unique power at the most crucial moment possible. They're like two sides of the same virtuous coin.
Okay, so that's a nice story, but how does this whole dynamic, the powerful benefactor and the overlooked little guy, how does that actually play out in our world today? Well, it happens all the time, probably way more than you even realize, in our personal and professional lives. Let's take a closer look.
Check this out. In our personal lives, maybe you're the dove when you help a stranger with a simple task. That stranger, the ant, ends up being the person interviewing you for your dream job. In our social lives, a senior employee mentors a junior colleague. Years later, that junior person uncovers crucial info that saves the senior's career. And in business, a huge corporation gives a small local vendor a chance. When a massive supply chain crisis hits, that tiny vendor is the only one who can come through with a critical fix. See the pattern? The dove acted without expecting a return, and the ant returned the favor in a way no one could have possibly predicted.
And this really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? We often misjudge who is truly valuable. This quote just nails it. The true strength of an ally isn't their current status or power, it's their loyalty. It's their gratitude and their willingness to actually do something when it really matters.
Okay, so we get the fable, we see how it applies to modern life. Now for the most important part. What do we do with this? How can we turn this ancient wisdom into a practical mindset for our own lives? Let's build a playbook. First things first, let's look at what not to do. These are the common traps that stop us from building that web of protection. We think kindness has to be a transaction. We underestimate people we think are insignificant. We only help out people who can help us back, right now. This is a huge strategic mistake because it completely ignores the hidden power of the ant.
So to counter that, here's the first mantra to adopt. It all starts right here. I am kind without expectation. True reciprocity, the kind that saves you, is only unlocked when that first act is genuine and selfless. This is the way of the dove.
Second, you have to embrace the power of the ant. A tiny sting on a heel at the perfect second was way more effective than some grand gesture would have been. So remember this mantra. I recognize the power of small, well-timed actions. It's not always about big moves. Sometimes the smallest thing at the right time changes everything.
And finally, let's reframe our thinking completely. Your mantra, I build a network of allies through genuine generosity. Your kindness isn't an expense, it's an investment. You are actively building a network of people who feel real gratitude towards you. And as the fable shows, that is the most reliable security system in the world.
So let's go all the way back to that question we started with. Is any act of kindness truly wasted? The answer, as you can see, is a resounding no. The smallest, most insignificant seeming gesture can create a ripple of gratitude that comes back with life-saving force. So remember this, the blade of straw you drop today may just save your life tomorrow.